The member for Wright has the call. We need the microphone.
Is that, are we on?
Yeah.
Giddy up. Mr Speaker, thank you for the call. And since the election, there's been an abundance of credible claims by no other than senior union officials claiming unlawful activity, corruption, organised crime, involvement in standover tactics, kickbacks and so on. And as a result of the government's recent announcement, we'll be recommending to Her Excellency an appointment of a Royal Commission into the union governance and corruption to be headed by the High Court Justice Dyson Heddon. When we have a look at the allegations that surround union corruption, they haven't come from our side of the House, Mr Speaker. They've come from within the internal ranks. And if you have been following the Hansard here this afternoon, to witness the intimidation, the standover tactics in this parliament to try and intimidate speakers, to shut them down so that they can't have their speech for the first time in this House in this term. You see, the connection is that every Labor member in this House is a servant to a union movement in some capacity. Right. They cannot hold a seat, unless they're aligned to some union. And I'll stand corrected if that's not the case. Is there a Labor member in this House that is not a member of a union?
Maybe Canberra?
Maybe Canberra. So this is a government which is unconditionally committed to democracy. We're committed to democracy and the role that the laws plays in shaping our society for the better. This Royal Commission is designed to bring to the surface the bottom feeders that are bringing honest workers and honest businesses into disrepute, Mr Speaker. Yeah. Honest members of the union movement who are being ripped off by corrupt officials and experiencing unsavoury behaviour in the workplace as a result of the toxic culture which begun to fester, and particularly it would appear within the construction sector. Prime Minister Abbott's objectives is simple: in ensuring honest, decent, ordinary Australians are being protected from those who think that they are above the law. There are too many cases of corruption and unlawfulness that go on unreported. Workers and members of the trade union in this country are now entitled to know where their money in pay and union fees is whether or not it's being invested in their best interest or not, or it's being used for the primary purpose of union slush funds. They shouldn't have their hard-earned money being put towards funding corrupt officials who spend their time running scams on the side, organisations on the side, or worse, in their self-owned interests and in some cases criminal activity. The union movement was built on the workers' right. Now, I fear that the union movement has become more about the self-appointed rights of officials other than the rights of the worker. Australia is a country which should be proud of its trade union history. They have a predominant place in our history and improved many of the Australian lives who fought hard for better wage conditions, pay conditions, workplace accidents and compensation. However, this history is becoming increasingly tarnished upon scandal, corruption claim upon corruption claim. Paul Howes, the National Secretary of the AWU, recently conceded that the union movement in Australia has lost sight of itself. Paul Howes, a senior union leader, a secretary of, I think, the AWU. Incredible words. Has lost sight of itself. He conceded that as a union leader, he has to deal with his fair share of bad eggs. I mean, how can that be fathomable? And he acknowledged that the culture of thuggery and criminal associations that exist within their organisation. It's outrageous to have senior members acknowledging that this behaviour happens openly and blatantly. However, I must ask if that he's willing to admit that at the National Press Club, are there other secrets? Are there other issues that he's not willing to reveal that will only come out on the back of a Royal Commission? What are the truths? Are the truths too defamatory to admit? Who would know? What is the actual state of the union movement in Australia And that is why a Royal Commission is needed, Mr Speaker. That is why the union movement needs to be held to account, and that is why this government is putting a Royal Commission and the Australian
Order. The Member for Rights time has expired.
union movement first.